All right, let's talk Project Luminous and the High Republic. Um, yeah, for those of you who don't know, yesterday or the day before, I found out about yesterday, and I think it was like within a day of releasing when I found out about it. So it was the last day or two that Project Luminous was announced for Disney Star Wars. Let's just call it Star Wars for now, because if I call it Disney Star Wars, I'm going to immediately think it's bad. Um, it was announced 1 or 2 days ago, and it is Project Luminous is a new series of books. And when I first heard about that, I was thinking, like, that's pretty neat. You know, it's very weird because usually books aren't extremely well advertised by giant companies, and Disney is pouring heaps of money onto making this project seem very, very big. They said they wanted to make it almost like releasing a new movie. I'm excited for a book series being hailed and being, coveted that way. Even if I don't like what Disney does with shit, I will say that it's still a breath of fresh air. However, Project Luminous, after reading more into it, and it's not just about books either, it's comics as well. They've only really announced or really shown a book, but it has to do with comics as well. Kind of like the old extended universe stuff. God. So whenever I mention that, I miss it so much. But Project Luminous is about the High Republic set 200 years before Episode 1. So before the Phantom Menace, 200 years. And it is about the Jedi at the height of their power. It's about the Jedi sort of being this archaic Knights of the Round Table kind of order, with the Outer Rim being vastly unexplored, and with new villains called, or I guess old villains because it's in the past, but new villains called the Nile, which are like punk Vikings. So it's almost like a cyberpunk kind of thing, and the Republic is vast and huge, and it's in its heyday, and it's sort of like almost like the Middle Ages of the Republic, and it has great potential, and there's so many ways that they can go with this, and everyone's excited, and I will say that I am completely for helping when it comes to releasing any kind of fiction, because honestly, the last few years, Star Wars has released some neat fiction. I will say, not the movies, but with novels. Like, it's released Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon novels, and it's released a prequel to Count Dooku and showing his backstory and various little things like that. It's done a bunch of cool stuff. It's showing Obi-Wan Kenobi after Episode 3, which I hope that novelization is put into the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series. I sincerely hope that. But now I'm going to get to the parts where this is problematic. By that I mean the High Republic. And let me bring up the notes here of what I literally wrote down 5 seconds ago. So, were you excited when you heard of me saying that it was like the Middle Ages of Star Wars? The Outer Rim is vastly unexplored. It's the height of the Jedi's power. It's a more archaic age, and even Ian McKeag, who is the guy who he designs a lot of cool characters but you've probably never heard of him, but you know a lot of the characters he designed. Darth Maul is one of them. He's been working in the field for quite a while. I think at first an artist and concept artist, but he's also a writer and a filmmaker too. He's in on this. However, everything other than Ian McKeag that I just said is incorrect to Star Wars. Literal bullshit. Disney hasn't done its research like it hasn't done its research in forever. This is how Disney does business. Disney does business with hype. They will give you... It doesn't even need to be complete shit as in like it's badly made, but they will give you a glass of water and tell you, hey, this is fire. Carefully, don't burn yourself, but it's fire. Here, take it. Okay, let's take it point by point. Republic at the height of its power. That might be true. Maybe. We don't have much recorded 200 years previous before the Phantom Menace, but it's always been called the waning years of the Republic, so I don't know why it'd be at the height of its power. However, let's just say it is. The height of the Jedi power, they are definitely not archaic, and they are definitely not... The Jedi Order wasn't different. The Jedi hasn't been different in 3,000 years, 4,000 years, actually. If people don't really understand... You ever heard of anything called the Mandalorian Wars? KOTOR 1 and 2? Star Wars The Old Republic? The MMO? Any of those kind of... The Jedi Civil War? The Stark Hyperspace War? Exar Kun? Any of this ringing any kind of bells? The Star Wars universe is a notable science fiction series for one big reason. Well, I mean, for a lot of big reasons, but it's notable in this reason as well, and that is that the technology is so advanced that they don't make any more advances in technology. Do you understand what I mean? They've done it all. They have everything. They have sophisticated AI. They have faster than light travel. They create starships the size of moons, and they've done that for thousands upon thousands of years. The Outer Rim is not unexplored. It's not. The Outer Rim has been the Outer Rim for 10,000 years. The Star Wars universe has had spacefaring civilizations for 25,000 years. Think about that. 25,000 years they've been in space. They've reached the stars, and they're saying 200 years before Phantom Menace, they're Knights of the Round Table. They're in the Middle Ages of the spacefaring. So they're still in the Middle Ages in Phantom Menace and in Attack of the Clones and all the way up to Empire Strikes Back and all that. That would still be in the fucking Middle Ages. The Jedi Order is such an old order that it shouldn't be different to merely 200 years ago. That's like saying that people dressed differently last week to Star Wars. It's so... Okay. Outer Rim, not unexplored. Not the Middle Ages of Star Wars. Height of the Jedi power, or at least Height of the Republic, probably not. The villains called the Nile, which are, I will say that's a breath of fresh air. Those guys, the punk Vikings, that is kind of good, because it's not more Sith, it's not more stormtroopers, but at the same time, I mean, it seems like it's almost pulling it out of another science fiction universe rather than actually making them Star Wars villains. But who knows? It might be good. I'm not going to really criticize them over much. But what I am going to do is I'm going to say, the extended universe and Star Wars in general have so much material that Disney has never used, and I don't know why. I really don't know why. Maybe the Disney executive said, hey, I'm a fan of Star Wars. I love Star Wars, but let's go through a new. Let's do something new. Let's make it our own. Let's not just be a copy of George Lucas. Okay, great. They copied George Lucas in a lot of ways anyway, and it was in a lot of the wrong ways. And then the stuff that was extended universe that was untapped in the movie genre, and even in books to some extent, was just thrown away. Left in the dust. And now we have people with subpar ideas making fucking Star Wars. Now, I haven't read, obviously, this new book series. And again, if all this stuff that they've announced, with it being a really archaic age for Star Wars, with the Jedi being vastly different, with it being the height of the Republic's power, maybe that's all just fluff to say to get people excited, because Disney's done that before. And if that is, then I would be excited to read these new books, because I want to see more Star Wars fiction, even if it's not with Kylo Ren in it, or particularly because there's no Kylo Ren in it. But I would like stuff that is far in the past, that doesn't ruin any of the movies that we've grown up to know and love, or into the video games. But it seems like that this book series is ruining the video games we grew up to know and love, unfortunately. So I don't know why they do it, though. I really don't. It's so easy. It'd be like, essentially, Disney bought a meal. Let's say Disney was at a restaurant. They bought a meal. The waiter or waitress comes up and gives them their meal and puts down the silverware, and let's say it's soup. And then Disney goes like, I want my own spin on this, and they take the fork and then they start trying to dig into it, and obviously this ain't working, but they're like, no, I want this fucking soup, I want this fucking and they just do that, and I don't know why. But we'll find out, I guess, won't we?